Do not touch my beast. The jungle air was thick and heavy, buzzing with strange alien insects. Human technician Ray Carter wiped sweat from his brow as he adjusted his tool belt. He had only been on the alien planet Zarian 9 for 3 days, but already he had seen things he couldn't believe. Glowing trees, talking mushrooms, and now, something even stranger. He was assigned to repair the water filtration unit near the alien stables. But when he heard a low growl nearby, curiosity pulled him toward the sound. He pushed aside the tall purple grass and stepped through a thick mist. That's when he saw it. A huge creature taller than a bear with dark silver fur, glowing orange eyes and scales running along its back. It was chained to a stone pillar, pacing slowly with powerful muscles under its wet fur. Its long tail whipped side to side like a whip. Ray's jaw dropped. "Whoa, you're a big guy, aren't you?" Suddenly, a sharp voice came from behind. "Step back," shouted an alien woman. Ray turned and froze. A tall alien girl stood there wearing a ceremonial robe with bones and feathers. Her skin was smooth and a soft lavender color. Her dark blue hair was tied back in warrior braids. Her eyes, glowing gold, stared at Ray with fury. "That is Krornak, the sacred guardian of my people," she said coldly. "You don't go near him." Ray raised his hands. "Easy. I wasn't going to hurt him. I thought he looked dirty, that's all." "You thought?" she mocked. "You thought you'd clean a divine beast like he was some earth puppy?" She stepped closer. "Human, your kind does not understand honor. This beast is bonded to my bloodline. He has guarded my clan for generations. He is not yours to touch." Ray blinked. All right, no need to make it weird. I'll just..." Suddenly, Krornak let out a deep grunt and collapsed onto its side in the mud. Ray stepped back. "Looks like your big guy's overheating." The alien girl's name was Zyla. She bit her lip, clearly concerned but unwilling to show weakness. "I have water and soap in my pack," Ray offered. "Let me help him, just water and a soft brush. I won't hurt him." Zyla hesitated. She looked at the steaming creature, then back at Ray. "Do it," she said through clenched teeth. "But if he bites off your arm, I won't stop him." Ray smiled nervously and opened his kit. He pulled out a small foam sprayer designed for cleaning Earth vehicles, but it worked just as well on alien mud. He began gently spraying cool water on the beast's back. The mud slid off in thick chunks. The creature growled low but didn't move. Then Ray added a small amount of earth soap, citrus-scented. Bubbles formed. Lots of bubbles. Foam slid down the sacred beast's sides, covering its paws, tail, and snout. The beast sneezed from the ticklish bubbles. It shook its head, sending suds flying into the air. Ray laughed. "See? He doesn't hate it, might even like it." Then came silence. Shyla was frozen, her eyes wide. Ray looked up and saw her expression. Her lips trembled. Her eyes were glowing brighter. "Oh, no," Ray muttered. Shyla stepped forward, rage in every movement. "You fool!" she screamed. "Soap! Suds! You covered Krornak in dishonor!" Ray dropped the sprayer. "It's just cleaning foam." "To you, but not to us. You have insulted the guardian spirit. This is not just a beast, he is holy. You washed away his warrior scent, his sacred markings." Ray backed up. "Okay, this is clearly a misunderstanding. Let's talk." Zyla raised her staff, pointing it at him. There will be no talking. Behind her, alien warriors rushed in, hearing the shouting. They looked at the foamy, blinking beast, then at Ray. One of them whispered, "The human has defiled the sacred one." Zyla's voice thundered. "This outsider has broken our law. He shall face trial by roar." Ray looked around as warriors surrounded him. Even Krornak, still covered in soap, slowly rose and let out a deep, rumbling growl. Ray whispered to himself, "Great. I gave a sacred monster a bubble bath, and now I'm going to die for it." Trial by roar. Ray stood still, arms raised, surrounded by spear-wielding alien warriors. The jungle clearing was silent except for the soft hiss of soap bubbles sliding off the giant beast's fur. Krornak, the sacred guardian, shook once, spraying foam in every direction. His glowing eyes locked on Ray with quiet intensity. The alien crowd backed away slowly. Hyla, still seething, stepped forward. You did not just wash a holy guardian, you humiliated him. This is not forgivable. Ray tried to stay calm. Look, Hyla. He was overheating. I just helped cool him. Down, no harm done. Harm? She spat. You washed away generations of sacred oils, protective symbols drawn by my ancestors. He is now bare and ashamed. Ray looked at the now slightly fluffier, shiny beast. He doesn't look ashamed. He looks relaxed. That only made her angrier. She turned to the warriors. By our ancient code, he must face the trial by roar. The crowd murmured in awe and fear. A tall elder stepped forward, his long white tendrils shaking. The trial has not been called in over 2 centuries, he said. Hyla stared at Ray. This human leaves us no choice. Ray blinked. Okay. What exactly is a trial by roar? Sounds loud but survivable. The elder replied. You will be taken into the jungle at night, no weapons, no armor. The guardian will be set free. If he spares your life, the spirits have judged you worthy. If he devours you, we will bury what's left. Ray's voice cracked. So basically, survive a night with a giant alien tiger lizard that I accidentally bubble-bathed? Hyla narrowed her eyes. You think it's funny? Ray sighed, serious now. No, but I'm not a coward. I'll take your trial. The warriors nodded in respect. One placed a tracker on Ray's arm, another handed him a single torch. As the sun began to set, a path was cleared through the thick jungle trees. Far ahead, shadows moved. The jungle was alive and watching. 2 guards led Ray deep into the wild until they reached a mossy clearing. Here, one said, this is where the trial begins. A massive roar shook the trees. Kronak was free. Ray's eyes widened. Wait, he's already loose? The guards didn't answer. They vanished back into the trees, leaving him alone. Ray quickly examined the torch, then looked around. Okay, Carter. Think. What do you have? No weapons, only 1 small pack with some protein bars, a bottle of water, and duct tape. He moved quickly, covering his scent with leaves and mud. His footsteps were quiet, like when he used to hike through earth forests. The alien jungle, however, wasn't earth. The trees had eyes, literally. One blinked at him. A flower hissed when he stepped too close. Then, a sound. Leaves crunching. Heavy breathing. Kronak was near. Ray crouched behind a thick log. The beast entered the clearing, sniffing. Its glowing eyes scanned the dark. A long tongue flicked from its mouth, tasting the air. Ray didn't move, not even a breath. The beast sniffed the air again. Then suddenly, looked directly at him. Ray braced for the charge, but asked nothing. Kronak walked closer, slow and calm. It stood just a few feet away, towering over him. Ray knew one wrong move might be his last. He slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out a small protein bar. Peace offering? He whispered. The beast sniffed it. Then, shockingly, it licked his hand. Ray's heart raced. He whispered, You remember me, huh? From bath time? The beast didn't growl. Instead, it laid down next to him. Calm, watchful, like a guard dog. Ray couldn't believe it. Up in the trees hidden in the shadows, Hyla watched with wide eyes. She had followed to make sure the trial was fair, but what she saw made her knees weak. Kronak had accepted the human, not attacked, not tested, accepted. Hyla whispered to herself, That's not possible. No outsider has ever bonded with the guardian. She felt something strange rise in her chest. Jealousy, confusion, or fear. Fear that the sacred bond, once passed from generation to generation, was now shifting, changing, evolving, and the one chosen by the beast was not her. It was the human. Running from a beast. And the truth, Ray sat in the glowing blue grass, back resting against a large alien root. The sky above shimmered with two pale moons. Jungle insects chirped, clicked, and hissed from the darkness. But Kror-Nak, the giant beast that should have eaten him, was lying calmly just a few feet away, tail lazily flicking side to side. The sacred guardian didn't blink. Its glowing eyes stayed fixed on Ray, watching every breath. Ray whispered to himself, "Okay. Okay. Just stay calm. Don't make sudden moves. Don't smell like fear." He slowly opened another protein bar and held it out. "Want another snack, big guy?" Kror-Nak sniffed it. This time the beast nuzzled Ray's hand before taking the bar gently in its massive jaws. Ray blinked. "You're not just smart. You're friendly." Then came a distant snap. A branch. Something or someone was nearby. Ray turned his torch toward the sound, only for the light to flicker and die. Darkness. Kror-Nak growled low and deep. Ray's instincts kicked in. He didn't run from the beast, he ran with it deeper into the jungle. The beast followed him silently, moving like a shadow, not chasing, but guiding. Soon, Ray reached a shallow cave covered in alien moss. He ducked inside, heart pounding. Kror-Nak stopped at the entrance and sat there, blocking it like a protector. Ray couldn't believe it. He wasn't running from danger anymore. He was being protected by it. Far above in the jungle trees, Zila watched through glowing spy lenses. She'd followed them again. This time not as a judge, but as a woman full of questions. Her sacred beast had chosen a human, had bonded with him. That was unheard of. She whispered, "Why you, Earthling? What makes you different?" But the deeper question she didn't want to ask out loud was, why does that hurt? Her entire life, Zila had trained to be the beast's keeper, its voice, its command. She had poured oils, sung the rituals, memorized the sacred chants, and yet this strange human, smelling like soap and protein bars, had connected with Kror-Nak in a matter of hours. She clenched her fists, watching from above. "I will find the truth behind this," she promised. Meanwhile, inside the cave, Ray whispered, "You know, if we get through this alive, I think I owe you a proper name. Something less growly." Kror-Nak huffed. Ray smiled. Okay. Maybe something noble, like Titan or Rex?" The beast tilted its head. Ray laughed softly. "All right, you'll pick your own name. Fair deal." Then came another noise. This one, mechanical. Ray stood. "That's not an animal." Suddenly, red lights blinked in the jungle trees. A scanning drone hovered just above the leaves, beeping as it locked onto Ray's location. "Wait, is that a scout drone?" A loudspeaker crackled. "Unidentified. Human. You are trespassing in Sector 13. Prepare for extraction." Ray frowned. "I didn't call for extraction." Zap! The drone fired a stun shot at Kror-Nak. The beam hit the beast's shoulder. It roared in pain. Ray's heart leapt. "No, don't hurt him." Without thinking, Ray picked up a fallen branch and hurled it at the drone. It hit the lens, making it spin wildly before crashing into a tree. Kror-Nak growled but didn't attack. Instead, the beast limped over to Ray and pressed its head against his chest, gently. Ray froze. That was trust. Real, pure trust. He placed a hand on the beast's head. "I've got your back now, buddy, like you had mine." Up in the trees, Zila saw everything. Her eyes were no longer angry. They were filled with something else. Wonder, confusion, and fear. Not fear of the human. Fear that the ancient bond had truly shifted, that the beast was no longer just her people's guardian, but had chosen this outsider as an equal, maybe even more. Back at the village, the tribal elders discussed what they had seen via the hidden drones. One old warrior said, "Never in our recorded history has the guardian bowed to anyone outside the bloodline." Another replied, "Unless the bloodline itself is changing." The room fell silent. Outside, Zyla walked slowly toward the ceremonial tent, her head full of thoughts she couldn't explain. Bonds made in mud and soap rain fell gently over the alien jungle, turning the blue dirt into sticky mud. The sacred village was quiet. Too quiet. Inside the grand ceremonial hall, torches flickered, casting long shadows on the walls decorated with beast markings and tribal history. Zyla stood alone in the center, her long robe soaked and heavy. She stared at the empty space on the altar, where Koronak's sacred harness usually rested, but it was gone, removed, washed away, just like her role. The door behind her creaked open. Ray stepped in, still wearing his soaked human jacket, boots covered in dirt and soap stains. Koronak, calm as ever, followed behind him like a shadow. Zyla didn't turn. "You shouldn't be here," she said flatly. Ray spoke gently. "He led me here, not the other way around." Zyla's hands tightened. "The Guardian has never walked beside anyone. Only ahead or behind you've broken something sacred." Ray took a few steps closer. "I didn't mean to break anything, I just cleaned mud off a friend." Zyla turned sharply. "He is not your friend. He is my people's legacy." Ray looked at Koronak, who sat quietly like a wise old protector. "Maybe he's more than a legacy now, maybe he's choosing something new." Zyla's voice trembled. "That choice used to belong to me." Silence. Ray took a deep breath. "I saw the way you cared for him. I know this bond was your whole life. But he didn't reject you. He accepted me with you." Zyla frowned. "That's not how our customs work." "Maybe your customs need to evolve," Ray replied. "Isn't survival about adapting?" Outside, the tribal elders were watching the temple from a crystal viewing orb. They saw everything: the confrontation, the pain, the strange peace forming. The oldest elder, his skin cracked like old bark, said, "The Guardian does not follow tradition. He follows spirit." Another elder whispered, "Perhaps this outsider's spirit is strong enough." Back in the ceremonial hall, Zyla finally walked toward Koronak. She knelt and gently placed her palm on his muzzle. The beast closed its eyes and leaned into her touch. "You still remember me?" she whispered. "Even after the bubbles and soap." Ray chuckled softly. "I think he liked it." Zyla gave him a sharp look, but a small smirk touched her lips. "He did smell better afterward," Ray smiled. "See? That's how we bathe back on Earth. Maybe we should teach him to enjoy bubble time weekly." Zyla raised an eyebrow. "If you try that again, I'll chain you to the mud pit." They both laughed. It was brief, but honest. Then came the booming voice of the elder at the door. "Ray Carter, Zyla of the Guardian line. Come forward." They stepped out into the open. The village had gathered: children, warriors, elders, even the lowest laborers. Everyone stood in the rain watching, waiting. The elder spoke. "We have seen the impossible. A bond not of blood, but of action, of care, of spirit." Another elder added, "And so, a new tradition must begin, one where the sacred guardian may choose freely, not by blood, but by bond." Ray looked over at Zyla. She was blinking, struggling with emotion. The elder continued, "Koronak has chosen not one, but two. Together you are now his equal handlers." "This has never happened before." Gasps spread through the crowd. Zyla whispered, "This means we are linked." Ray replied, "Not just to the beast, but maybe to each other too." Zyla didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. Later that night, around a small fire outside the village wall, Ray sat beside Zyla and Koronak. The rain had stopped. The jungle glowed under twin moons. Ray handed her a protein bar. "It's not, alien stew, but it's what I got." She took it slowly. "Tastes like dry bark." Ray smirked. "That's the peanut flavor." They sat in silence a while longer. Then Zyla asked, "Why did you risk everything for him? You could have run during the trial." Ray thought for a moment, then answered, "Because I don't run from those who trust me." Zyla looked down, then quietly said, "Maybe I shouldn't either." Kronak purred deeply and placed his giant head in both their laps, sighing like a satisfied old lion. Ray chuckled. "Guess we're his humans now." Zyla finally smiled. "Then may the spirits help him." They both laughed under the stars. Not as enemies, not even just as allies, but as something new. The beast's choice. The twin suns rose slowly over the jungle horizon, painting the alien village in soft orange light. A low horn echoed through the valley. Today was the day of the selection rite, a ritual held once every generation where the sacred guardian would affirm its bond, but this time things were different. This time, there were two standing before the beast. Ray stood on the left, wearing simple tribal cloth over his earth clothes. His boots were still caked in dried jungle mud, and his hands were calloused from repairing alien tech and dodging wild creatures. Zyla stood on the right in full ceremonial armor, bones, feathers, and glowing beads sewn into her warrior garb. Her face was calm, but her heart raced. Before them sat Kronak, majestic and silent. His silver fur shimmered in the light. A golden mark had been freshly painted on his forehead by the elders. He watched them both, unblinking. Around them the tribe gathered in a large half-circle. Some were whispering, confused. Others looked angry. "This is wrong," said one voice. "A beast cannot have two bonds," said another. "The human is an outsider. He doesn't understand our ways." But the elders raised their hands and the crowd went quiet. The eldest among them, High Speaker Elo, stepped forward. "The guardian will choose. Let the ancient instinct decide." Ray glanced at Zyla and whispered, "Do we have to do anything?" She kept her eyes forward. "No. Just stand still and accept what comes." Ray nodded, but his stomach churned. What if Kronak chose her only? Would he be sent back to Earth? Would the bond just vanish? And what if the beast chose him instead? Would Zyla hate him? What if the beast chose neither? The tension was thick. The elder raised his staff. "Let the beast choose its path." Sharp drumbeat echoed. Everyone held their breath. Kronak slowly rose, paused silent on the ground. He took one slow step toward Ray. Ray's heart skipped. The beast's face was inches from his. Hot breath blew across Ray's chest. Then, Kronak stepped away and turned to Zyla. He circled her once, sniffing her hand. Zyla's jaw clenched, but she didn't react. The beast paused, then did something no one expected. Kronak walked between them and laid down, pressing, his body against both their legs. Half his weight rested on Ray, half on Zyla. The elders gasped. The crowd erupted in confusion. "What does it mean? He's torn." "No, he's broken." But High Speaker Elo raised his voice. "Silence!" Everyone stopped. The elder stepped forward, eyes wide with reverence. "Never, in all our records, has the guardian done this." One younger priest trembled. "What should we call this bond?" The elder smiled slowly. "We shall call it the twin flame bond." Ray blinked. "Wait, that sounds kind of romantic." Zyla muttered, "Shut up, Earthling." But her face turned slightly red. Later, after the crowd had left and the tension settled, Ray and Zyla sat together near the quiet waterfall, Kronak sleeping between them. Ray broke the silence. "So, we share a beast now." Zyla looked at the flowing water. "You realize what that means, don't you?" Ray shrugged. "Joint custody?" Zyla shook her head. "In our culture, a shared guardian bond between male and female usually means a life bond." Ray's eyebrows lifted. "You mean like, yes," she said firmly, "a potential mate bond." Ray looked down at the beast. "So this Hairy guy just got us accidentally engaged? Shyla didn't smile. It's not a joke, Ray. He nodded slowly. I know, and I'm not running. Shyla's eyes narrowed. You're not? Ray looked at her, serious now. I don't run from things that matter. Shyla didn't reply, but something in her expression softened. Then a shout echoed from the jungle. A scout ran in, blood on his armor. Raiders from the Boneclaw tribe. They've crossed into our lands. They want to capture the Guardian. Shyla stood instantly. They want to steal our beast? Ray rose too. Then let's show them what a shared bond really looks like. Kronak opened one golden eye and growled. A bond they cannot break. The war drums pounded like thunder through the jungle air. From the cliffs above, smoke spiraled up, black, thick, and angry. The Boneclaw tribe, savage raiders from the desert moon of Nor, had come with one purpose: to capture Kronak, the sacred beast, and break the will of Xyla's tribe. Ray stood near the outer wall of the village, holding a simple spear. He had never fought in an alien war before. He wasn't a soldier. He was a mechanic. But right now, none of that mattered. Shyla stood beside him in full armor, her braids swinging behind her as she barked orders to young warriors. We hold the front line. No one breaks rank. If the raiders breach the center, we fall. Ray leaned closer and whispered, Any chance we can, talk them out of it? Shyla shot him a look. They wear bones as armor, Ray. Human bones. Ray gulped. Okay, no talking. Behind them, Kronak let out a deep, earth-shaking roar. The warriors cheered. Shyla turned toward the beast. You stay close, this fight will not be fair. But Kronak didn't stay close. He stepped forward and placed one paw firmly on the ground, then the other. His tail swished in warning. The message was clear. He would fight. Ray nodded slowly. He's not just a guardian anymore, he's part of this tribe, our tribe. Shyla didn't reply, but her hand brushed Ray's for a moment, just long enough to feel something neither of them could explain. Then came the horns. The raiders attacked. From the tree line, armored figures burst out, howling, growling, armed with jagged weapons and fire-tipped arrows. Their skin was marked with red paint and old blood. Some rode beasts of their own, smaller, leaner creatures with sharp fangs. Shyla shouted, Hold the line! Arrows flew, spears clashed, screams echoed. Ray moved with the others, blocking a spear strike just in time. A raider lunged toward him. But before the blade landed, Kronak leapt in from the side, slamming the attacker into a tree. Ray stared. That was awesome, Kronak growled. More raiders rushed the gates. One flanked Shyla from behind. She spun, blade ready. But the blow still came too fast. Ray threw himself forward, blocking the strike with his forearm. He cried out in pain, but stayed standing. Shyla turned, eyes wide. Why did you do that? Ray gasped. Because you would have been hit. Shyla hesitated, then said softly, Thank you. But there was no time for more. Another group breached the gate. The chief of the Boneclaw tribe stepped into the clearing, massive, covered in skulls, eyes glowing red under a metal mask. I came for the beast, he growled in broken common tongue. But I will take your heads as well. Ray narrowed his eyes. You want the beast? He looked at Kronak, then whispered, Let's give him a proper introduction. Moments later, the clearing exploded with chaos. Ray ran directly at the Boneclaw chief, yelling like a madman. The chief laughed, raising his giant blade. But before the strike came down, Kronak launched from the shadows, landing right on top of the raider chief. The impact cracked stone. Dust flew. Shyla charged in with a scream of rage, slicing through the enemy flank. Together, human, alien girl, and sacred beast fought as one. Ray yelled, He's your problem now, bonehead! Kronak roared and slammed his paw on the chief's chest, hard enough to crack his armor. The raiders, seeing their leader fall, broke formation and began to flee. Shyla raised her sword. Do not chase them. Let them carry their fear home. The village was safe, bloodied, but not broken. Later, as night fell and the fires dimmed, Ray sat beside the beast, nursing his wounded arm. Zyla approached quietly and sat next to him. You saved me back there, she said, voice softer than usual. You've done the same, Ray replied. I think that makes us even. She shook her head. No, it means something more. Ray looked at her. Like what? She hesitated. Then said, It means the bond is real, not just with the beast, but between us. Ray smiled. You know, back on Earth, people fall in love during wars all the time. Zyla raised an eyebrow. Is this your way of saying something serious? Ray grinned. I'm saying, I think I found something here worth staying for. Zyla didn't smile, but she didn't look away either. Crornock sighed, curled beside them, calm and proud. 3 hearts, 1 bond, and a tribe that would never be the same again. Suds, blood, and loyalty. The jungle was calm again. Smoke no longer rose from the treetops. The drums of war had stopped. The Bone Claw tribe was gone, defeated and scattered. But the true change hadn't come from battle. It had come from something deeper, from trust, from bond, from the strange moment when a human first covered a sacred alien beast, in soap bubbles. In the heart of the village, a massive gathering took place under the twin suns. Decorations hung from every post, feathers, vines, and old beast teeth. Music played softly in the background made from windpipes and carved drums. At the center, a new ceremonial circle had been built from scratch. This one was different. Instead of ancient symbols painted in blood and ash, it was painted in mud and foam, a symbol of new traditions and unexpected friendships. Zyla stood tall, wearing a fresh set of ceremonial armor, this time trimmed with bright silver and marked with both her family crest and a small earth symbol drawn in white. Ray stood beside her in tribal robes, awkward but proud. His arm was bandaged, but his grin was strong. Crornock lay between them, massive and calm, watching as if he understood exactly what was happening. High Speaker Elo raised his voice. Let all hear. The Guardian has chosen. Not 1, but 2 souls. 2 paths. 2 hearts. This bond is beyond history, and it began not with fire or fear, but with soap. The crowd chuckled. Ray whispered to Zyla, See? I told you baths change lives. Zyla muttered, You're lucky it didn't end your life. But her eyes were soft, her smile hidden but real. After the ceremony, as the sun dipped below the tree line, the villagers began to feast. Children played in the mud. Warriors told stories of the battle. And in the middle of it all, Zyla and Ray sat beside Crornock, who now wore a garland of vines and flowers, placed by children who were no longer afraid of him. Ray looked around. You know, I never imagined ending up on a jungle planet bonding with a giant tiger lizard and a grumpy alien warrior princess. Zyla sipped from a fruit shell cup. I never imagined my tribe accepting change, but here we are. Ray leaned back. Think we'll last? Zyla tilted her head. You, me, and a sacred beast? We've already survived bubbles and blood. What else is there? Ray laughed. Soap was scarier. She didn't disagree. Later that night, Ray walked to the beast's bathing pool, where it all began. He knelt beside it, looking at the old soap bottle he'd left behind. It was almost empty now, the label peeling. You caused all this, he whispered with a grin. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. Zyla appeared, holding a fresh towel and a carved wooden brush. I brought these, she said. I thought he might enjoy another wash. Ray blinked. You're serious? Zyla nodded. If we are bonded, then maybe it's time I learned your ways. Just don't use the citrus one. It makes his fur puff out. Ray burst into laughter. Crornock, padded into the clearing, gave a long sigh, and walked into the shallow pool by himself, splashing mud and water everywhere. Ray grinned. "You sure he's still sacred?" Zyla shrugged. "He's ours now. Maybe sacred can also mean happy." Together, they stepped into the water, one with the beast, one with each other, and for the first time in generations, the guardian of the tribe, once a symbol of fear and pride, was laughing, playing, and glowing under the moonlight, covered in bubbles.